Hello and welcome back, guys. Today we'll be diving into the sci-fi action franchise titled Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. So without further ado, make sure to sit back and relax, because I promise you this is going to be an epic one. The movie begins with a convoy of military vehicles driving through the Afghanistan desert. Tony Stark is riding in one of the Humvees, sipping a drink and bantering with the soldiers, showcasing his charismatic and confident personality. The lighthearted interaction is abruptly interrupted when the convoy is attacked by insurgents. Explosions rock the convoy, and Tony scrambles for cover. He sees soldiers being killed and the situation quickly deteriorates. In the chaos, a missile is revealed to be one of his own company's, lands near Tony and explodes nearby, causing severe injury, and he starts to bleed out. Tony is captured by the insurgents and loses consciousness, after which the narrative then shifts to a flashback set 36 hours before the ambush. We are introduced to Tony Stark's luxurious lifestyle, highlighting his brilliance and fame. The flashback begins at an awards ceremony in Las Vegas where Tony is being honored with the 𝐴𝐵𝐺𝐸 Award. Instead of attending the ceremony, Tony is in a casino, gambling, and flirting with women. His friend and military liaison, Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, accepts the award on his behalf and expresses frustration at Tony's absence. The flashback sequence highlights Tony's playboy personality, as a journalist, Christine Everhart, confronts Tony and presents evidence that his company is selling weapons to terrorists. After the conversation between them leads to Tony having fun time with Christine. Next day, Tony left for the weapon demonstration in Afghanistan in his amazing sports car towards Rhodey, who was already waiting for him at the airport. Upon arrival in Afghanistan, Tony presents the 𝐔𝐬𝐜 missile, a new and powerful weapon developed by Stark Industries. The demonstration is a success, after which Tony departed with the convoy without Rhodey. The sequence returns to the present time, following the ambush. Tony awakens in a cave, restrained and hooked up to a car battery. He discovers that an electromagnet has been implanted in his chest to keep shrapnel from reaching his heart, a life-saving measure performed by fellow captive and Dr. 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n. Tony meets fellow captive, 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n, a scientist who helps him understand their situation. 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n becomes Tony's ally and confidant during their time in captivity. They bond over their shared desire to escape and their moral conflicts. With the 10 Rings action, Tony and 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n devise a plan to build a device for which he uses the components of the weapons and make an arch reactor to power an electromagnet and keep the shrapnel away from Tony's heart. Tony prepares a rough escape plan in paper in systematic manner so that no one can detect it. Soon they also begin constructing the first Iron Man suit using scraps of metal and spare parts from weapons provided by the terrorists. Utilizing their engineering skills and resourcefulness, Tony and 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n work tirelessly to assemble the components of the Iron Man suit in secret, hiding their progress from the 10 Rings. This involves welding, soldering, and improvising with limited materials to create the prototype. The risk of discovery by the 10 Rings intensifies, as the head of the terrorists come to them and start torturing 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n for the missile he promised. Soon he leave with a warning that they must hurry as they have no time left. Tony and 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n finalize their plan to escape. They know they must act quickly before their captors discover their activities. Tony faces the challenge of powering the suit and ensuring its functionality for their escape. When the time comes, Tony dons the Marcum suit, ready to confront their captors and make their escape. The suit proves to be formidable despite its makeshift nature, allowing Tony to fight his way through the terrorist stronghold with 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n's assistance. During the escape, 𝐸𝐿-𝐶𝐼n makes a heroic sacrifice to buy Tony time to power up the suit and escape. His death deeply impacts Tony, further motivating him to use his intelligence and resources for good. Tony destroys the enemy camp with the weapons while killing each and every terrorists in the process. Soon he starts the ignition and fly away in the far desert, and after landing the suit disintegrates. Soon he was discovered by his friend Rhodey. After successfully escaping, Tony returns to the United States. He is physically and emotionally shaken by his ordeal but determined to make significant changes in his life and the world. Tony's experience in captivity prompts a profound change in his perspective. He confronts the reality of Stark Industries' role in supplying weapons to terrorists and decides to take responsibility for the consequences. He announces his decision to shut down the company's weapons manufacturing division, a move that shocks his business partners and colleagues. In this part, viewers witness Tony's intense focus as he devotes himself to the development of the Mark II suit. He utilizes his vast resources and intellect to create a sleeker, more advanced version compared to the crude Mark I. Throughout this portion, Tony is shown working tirelessly in his workshop, experimenting with various material, components, and systems to enhance the suit's capabilities. Tony's continued work on the Mark II suit, which represents a significant significant advancement from the crude Mark I suit built in captivity. The Mark II suit is sleeker, more technologically advanced, and capable of sustained flight. We witness Tony's anticipation and excitement as he prepares for the suit's maiden flight test. During this segment, viewers witness Tony's ingenuity and dedication to improving the Iron Man suit. He implements various upgrades and modifications to enhance its capabilities, such as refining the suit's aerodynamics, improving its power source efficiency, and enhancing its weaponry. These upgrades reflect Tony's commitment to perfecting his alter ego's arsenal and ensuring that Iron Man is equipped to face any challenges that may arise. As Tony completes the final adjustments to the Mark II suit, he receives reports of a conflict erupting in the village of 𝐒𝐫𝐬𝐿, Afghanistan. Without hesitation, Tony decides to intervene as Iron Man, using his newfound abilities to take action against injustice and protect innocent lives. Tony suits up in the Mark III armor and flies to the region, where he single-handedly takes on the terrorists who are threatening the innocent villagers. This sequence showcases Iron Man's incredible combat capabilities as he effortlessly dispatches enemy forces and protects the civilians. As Iron Man engages the terrorists, he employs an array of weapons and gadgets built into his suit, demonstrating his technological prowess and strategic thinking. The action-packed battle highlights Iron Man's determination to use his newfound abilities for good and his willingness to put himself in harm's way to save others. Following the intense showdown in 𝐒𝐫𝐬𝐿, Iron Man's actions draw the attention of the United States military, specifically the Air Force. As Iron Man returns from the battlefield, he is intercepted by fighter jets dispatched to apprehend or engage him. This confrontation escalates tensions between Iron Man and the US government, as they perceive him as a potential threat or unknown entity operating outside their control. The encounter with the Air Force underscores the complexities of Iron Man's newfound heroism. While he is hailed as a savior by some, his actions also raise concerns about accountability, oversight, and the potential ramifications of his vigilantism. Tony Stark starts to piece together the evidence that 𝐂𝐫𝐸𝐿, his trusted business partner and mentor, has been working against him. He realizes that �ＳTANE has been dealing under the table with the Ten Rings terrorist group, selling Stark Industries weapons. On the request of Tony, Pepper digs deeper into �ＳTANE's activities. She accesses �ＳTANE's computer and discovers incriminating evidence, including video footage of �ＳTANE's meeting with the terrorists and a plan to build his own suit. �ＳTANE confronts Pepper, who is copying the files onto a flash drive. Realizing she's been caught, Pepper barely escapes with the help of Agent Phil Coulson, an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. The scene shifts to �ＳTANE's workshop, where he is overseeing the development of a larger, more powerful suit of armor, the Ironmonger. This project is a direct result of reverse engineering the original Mark I suit that Tony built in captivity. �ＳTANE ambushes Tony at his home. Using a device that temporarily paralyzes Tony, �ＳTANE forcibly removes the arc reactor from Tony's chest. This arc reactor is what powers Tony's life support and Iron Man suit. After taking the arc reactor, �ＳTANE returns to his lab to power his own suit, the Ironmonger, which is much larger and more powerful than Tony's Iron Man suit. �ＳTANE's intention is to use this suit for his own gain and potentially for nefarious purposes. Tony is left incapacitated and struggling for survival. He manages to crawl to his workshop and retrieve his old arc reactor, which is less efficient but keeps him alive. Meanwhile, Pepper and Agent Coulson, along with other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, head to �ＳTANE's lab to arrest him and stop the Ironmonger project. They are unaware of the full extent of �ＳTANE's capabilities and the danger they are walking into. �ＳTANE, in the Ironmonger suit, confronts Tony Stark. Using the power of the stolen arc reactor, �ＳTANE is now a formidable adversary. The Ironmonger suit is larger and heavily armed compared to Tony's Iron Man suit. Tony, weakened and with his own arc reactor struggling to keep up, must rely on his wits and agility to combat the superior firepower and strength of the Ironmonger. The two engage in a fierce battle within the Stark Industries complex. The fight is brutal, with heavy damage inflicted on the surroundings. Tony tries to exploit the weaknesses in the Ironmonger suit, using his knowledge of its design and his own suit's agility to his advantage. �ＳTANE uses the environment to his benefit, showcasing the destructive capabilities of his suit. During the battle, Tony's arc reactor starts to fail. This adds a ticking clock element to the confrontation, as Tony must not only fight �ＳTANE but also deal with his own diminishing power supply. Tony realizes he needs to lure �ＳTANE to the rooftop to put his final plan into action. Tony and �ＳTANE take their battle to the rooftop of the arc reactor facility. The stakes are higher as they fight above the city, with the potential for greater collateral damage. Tony instructs Pepper Potts to overload the large arc reactor in the facility. This plan is risky and could result in significant fallout, but it's the best chance to stop �ＳTANE. As the arc reactor is about to overload, Tony uses his last bit of power to hold �ＳTANE in place. The overload creates a massive surge of energy. The resulting explosion is intense, severely damaging �ＳTANE's suit and incapacitating him. Tony is also thrown back and barely survives due to the protective capabilities of his suit. The scene shifts to a media frenzy outside Stark Industries, where reporters are gathered, eager to get a statement from Tony about the recent events. He starts reading the provided cover story but becomes increasingly uncomfortable with the lies. So Tony decides to abandon the cover story and boldly states, "I am Iron Man." This confession shocks the room, leading to a flurry of questions and chaos among the reporters. In the post-credit scene, Tony returns to his home, where he finds Nick Fury waiting for him. Fury introduces himself as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and mentions the Avenger Initiative. The end. The film opens in a bleak, wintry Russian setting, where Ivan Vanko is taking care of his ailing father, Anton Vanko. As Anton lies dying, he watches a television broadcast featuring Tony Stark revealing his identity as Iron Man, an event that occurred at the end of the first Iron Man film. Anton, in his final moments, tells Ivan that the arc reactor technology should have been his legacy, expressing bitterness towards Howard Stark, Tony's father. Upon Anton's death, Ivan, driven by revenge, begins working on his own version of the arc reactor, which will eventually power his Whiplash suit. The scene then transitions to the Stark Expo in Flushing, New York. The Expo is a major event showcasing advancements in technology, continuing a legacy initiated by Howard Stark. The atmosphere is electric, filled with anticipation and excitement. Tony Stark makes a dramatic entrance by skydiving into the expo in his Iron Man suit. As he lands on stage, fireworks explode, and a cheering crowd greets him. The expo's theme is innovation and the future, embodying Tony's vision for a better world powered by advanced technology. Tony takes center stage and addresses the audience, emphasizing his role in maintaining world peace and showcasing the Iron Man suit's abilities. He confidently declares that he has successfully privatized world peace, underlining his belief that his technology is crucial in preventing global conflicts. The demonstration serves not only to highlight the suit's power but also to position Tony as both a hero and a showman, reveling in his newfound celebrity status, after which the scene opens in Washington, D.C., where Tony Stark is summoned to a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. The purpose of the hearing is to discuss the national security implications of the Iron Man suit. Senator Stern is presiding over the hearing and is highly critical of Stark's decision to keep the Iron Man technology private. Tony confidently walks into the hearing with his usual swagger, accompanied by his legal counsel, Pepper Potts. Despite Stern's hostile demeanor, Tony remains composed and somewhat playful. The senator demands that Tony hand over the Iron Man suit to the government, arguing that it's a weapon that should be controlled to prevent threats to national security. During the hearing, Senator Stern calls upon witnesses to support his argument. One of the key witnesses is Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, also known as Rhodey, Tony's friend and military liaison. Rhodey is visibly uncomfortable and conflicted, trying to balance his duty to the military and his loyalty to Tony. Under Stern's pressure, Rhodey reads excerpts from a report that highlights the potential dangers of the Iron Man suit. Justin Hammer, CEO of Hammer Industries, a competitor to Stark Industries. Hammer eagerly seizes the opportunity to criticize Tony and promote his own weapons technology. He presents himself as a patriotic businessman ready to help the government by developing similar technologies. Hammer attempts to portray Stark as irresponsible and arrogant, suggesting that Tony's monopoly on advanced technology is dangerous. However, Tony quickly turns the tables. Using his advanced mobile device, Tony hacks into the courtroom's monitors to display classified footage from around the world. This footage reveals failed attempts by other countries and corporations, including Hammer Industries, to replicate the Iron Man technology, often resulting in disastrous and sometimes comical outcomes. Amidst the public and political pressures, Tony is privately dealing with a serious health issue. The arc reactor in his chest, which powers the Iron Man suit and keeps him alive, is slowly poisoning him with palladium. The palladium core is essential for the reactor's function but is causing his blood toxicity levels to rise. Soon Tony throws a lavish birthday party at his mansion. The scene is filled with guests, music, and a festive atmosphere. However, underlying this celebratory tone is Tony's reckless behavior, driven by his knowledge of his deteriorating health. During the party, Tony becomes increasingly irresponsible and erratic. He dons the Iron Man suit not to fight villains, but to entertain his guests. His actions become more reckless as he drinks heavily and performs stunts that are dangerous and inappropriate, showcasing his disregard for safety and responsibility. The tension at the party escalates when Tony's friend, Rhodey, confronts him about his behavior. Rhodey is visibly concerned about Tony's state of mind and his misuse of the Iron Man suit. The confrontation peaks when Rhodey suits up in one of Tony's older Iron Man suits, leading to a destructive fight between the two in the middle of the party. Prior to the party, Tony, recognizing his own instability and the possibility of his impending death due to palladium poisoning, makes a significant decision regarding the future of Stark Industries. He appoints Pepper Potts, his trusted assistant and confidant, as the new CEO of the company. Natalie Rushman is introduced as a new legal assistant at Stark Industries. She is initially presented as a competent and highly skilled addition to Tony's team, catching his eye with her capabilities and mysterious allure. Tony, intrigued by Natalie, engages in a flirtatious and somewhat playful interaction with her. He is impressed by her multilingual abilities and her extensive resume, which includes various impressive feats that suggest she is more than she appears. Pepper is skeptical of Natalie's sudden appearance and the seemingly perfect credentials she presents. Despite this, she accepts Tony's decision to bring Natalie on board, albeit with some reservations. Unbeknownst to Tony and the rest of Stark Industries, Natalie Rushman is actually Natasha Romanoff, an undercover agent for S.H.I.E.L.D., assigned by Nick Fury to monitor Tony's condition and actions. This layer of secrecy adds a subplot of espionage and intelligence to the film, which becomes more significant as the story progresses. The segment begins with Tony Stark attending the Monaco Grand Prix. Despite originally planning to merely spectate, Tony impulsively decides to drive one of the race cars himself. His decision is a mix of his thrill-seeking nature and his coping mechanism for the stress and existential crisis he faces due to his deteriorating health. The scene transitions to 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐿, who infiltrates the racetrack disguised as a maintenance worker. 𝐂𝐽, equipped with an advanced harness that produces electrified whips powered by a miniaturized arc reactor similar to Tony's, walks onto the track. As Tony races, 𝐂𝐽 steps onto the track and activates his whips, causing a massive accident. The whips slice through cars, creating a chaotic and dangerous environment. Tony's car is hit, sending it flipping and crashing. Despite the severe crash, Tony emerges from the wreckage, though he's dazed and injured. 𝐂𝐽 approaches him with his electrified whips, intending to kill Tony and send a message to the world about the vulnerability of the Stark technology. Tony, without his Iron Man armor, is at a significant disadvantage. He manages to survive 𝐂𝐽's initial assault through quick thinking and agility. Tony is able to hold his own momentarily by using debris as improvised shields. Meanwhile, Pepper Potts and Happy Hogan, who are also at the race, realize Tony's in danger. They drive a Rolls-Royce onto the track to reach Tony, and Happy rams 𝐂𝐽 with the car, giving Tony a brief respite. In a pivotal moment, Pepper hands Tony a special briefcase containing a portable version of his Iron Man suit. This new version of the suit, often referred to as the suitcase armor or Mark V, allows Tony to quickly equip his armor on the go. Once suited up, Tony gains the upper hand. The fight intensifies as 𝐂𝐽's whips clash against the Iron Man suit. Despite 𝐂𝐽's impressive weaponry, Tony eventually disables 𝐂𝐽's whips and subdues him. This marks the end of the intense confrontation on the racetrack. Security arrives and arrests 𝐂𝐽. As he is taken into custody, 𝐂𝐽 taunts Tony, indicating that his actions were just the beginning. This encounter reveals to Tony and the audience that there are individuals out there capable of replicating Stark's technology and using it for nefarious purposes. After being apprehended, 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐿 is transferred to a high-security prison. After all the mess, Hammer orchestrates 𝐂𝐽's escape. Hammer sees an opportunity to use 𝐂𝐽's technical prowess to outdo Stark and gain an edge in the weapons industry. Hammer offers 𝐂𝐽 resources, including a workshop and materials, in exchange for creating advanced weaponry and a new suit to rival Iron Man. 𝐂𝐽 accepts the offer but has his own hidden agenda to exact revenge on Tony Stark. Nick Fury, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., approaches Tony. He is accompanied by Natasha Romanoff, who reveals herself as an undercover agent placed to monitor Tony. Fury provides Tony with a temporary remedy to alleviate his poisoning symptoms. Tony Stark is struggling with the palladium poisoning from the arc reactor in his chest, which is slowly killing him. He feels isolated and desperate as he searches for a solution to his problem. Tony receives a visit from Nick Fury, who brings him a case of his father Howard Stark's old materials. Fury leaves him with a personal message. He was one of the founding members of S.H.I.E.L.D. Tony explores the contents of the case, finding old film reels, notes, and a model of the 1974 Stark Expo. Tony watches an old film reel where Howard Stark addresses him directly. Howard speaks about his vision for the future in the arc reactor technology, implying he believed Tony would be able to improve upon his work. The critical moment comes when Howard reveals that the model of the 1974 Stark Expo is actually a diagram for a new element, something he couldn't complete in his time but believed Tony could. Inspired by his father's hidden message, Tony examines the model closely and realizes it outlines the structure of a new element. He starts a detailed process of research and simulation in his lab to synthesize the new element. Tony constructs a particle accelerator in his home lab. Showcasing his engineering genius, he sets up the equipment and begins the process of creating the new element, which involves a highly complex sequence of actions, including using a laser to collide particles. After a tense sequence of scientific procedures, Tony successfully creates a new element. Jarvis, his AI assistant, analyzes the new element and confirms its properties. The new element is capable of providing a clean and sustainable power source for the arc reactor, effectively replacing the toxic palladium. Tony installs the new element into his chest arc reactor. The new reactor is more powerful and eliminates the palladium poisoning, effectively saving Tony's life and enhancing his Iron Man suit's capabilities. Rhodey takes the War Machine armor to the military. Concurrently, Rhodey, who has taken the War Machine armor during Tony's reckless birthday party, decides to hand it over to the US military. Rhodey's decision is driven by a mix of concern for Tony's well-being and his duty as an. Rhodey meets with Justin Hammer, a rival weapons manufacturer. Hammer, eager to outshine Stark Industries, offers to upgrade the War Machine armor with an array of new weapons. Rhodey reluctantly agrees, and Hammer's team starts outfitting the suit with various heavy artillery, including missile launchers and machine guns, turning War Machine into a heavily armed combat suit. Hammer seizes the opportunity of the Stark Expo, a prestigious event celebrating innovation and technology, to unveil the advanced drones developed in collaboration with Ivan Vanko. With great fanfare, Hammer takes the stage to showcase the capabilities of the drones, and introducing Rhodey as a war machine. On the other hand, Tony gets a threatening call from Ivan. Tony, who is really shocked to know that Ivan is alive. While on call, Tony tries to trace down the location and is again shocked to know that it's Hammer Industries, after which he realizes that imminent danger the Ivan pose. Time sliding while Tony gets an amazing entry at the Stark Expo in his new and upgraded suit, and tries to warn War Machine about the upcoming threat Ivan, who is alive. As the conversation is taking place, Ivan, who have secretly reprogrammed Justin Hammer's drones, initiates his plan to wreak havoc at the Stark Expo. Taking control of the drones remotely, Vanko unleashes them upon the unsuspecting crowd, creating chaos and endangering countless lives. With their advanced weaponry and maneuverability, the drones pose a significant threat to both the Expo attendees and Iron Man himself. Meanwhile, Natasha Romanoff, also known as Black Widow, and Tony Stark's trusted friend Happy Hogan embark on a covert mission to infiltrate Justin Hammer's facility. Tasked with disabling the control center for the drones and thwarting Vanko's scheme, Black Widow and Happy demonstrate their resourcefulness and combat skills as they navigate the facility's defenses and engage in stealthy maneuvers to evade detection. As the situation escalates at the Stark Expo, Tony Stark, donning his Iron Man armor, joins forces with his close ally Rhodey, who now operates the heavily armed War Machine suit. Recognizing the imminent danger posed by Vanko's drones, Tony and Rhodey synchronize their efforts and engage in a dynamic aerial battle against the unmanned assailants. Together, they demonstrate remarkable teamwork and combat proficiency as they strategize to neutralize the drones and protect innocent lives amidst the chaos of the Expo. As the battle rages on, the focus shifts to the final showdown between Iron Man, War Machine, and Ivan Vanko, the mastermind behind the drone attack. Vanko, equipped with his own suit powered by arc reactor technology, emerges to confront his adversaries directly, seeking to settle the score with Tony Stark once and for all. The confrontation is charged with tension and personal vendetta, as Vanko unleashes his fury against Iron Man and War Machine, driven by his desire for revenge and his twisted sense of justice. The clash between the three armored combatants escalates into a fierce duel, with each combatant unleashing a barrage of devastating attacks and counterattacks. In a climactic moment, Iron Man and War Machine manage to gain the upper hand against Vanko, leveraging their combined strength and ingenuity to overpower him. Through a combination of strategic teamwork and individual heroism, they finally succeed in defeating their formidable adversary, bringing an end to his reign of terror. With Vanko defeated, the threat posed by his army of drones is neutralized. However, the danger is far from over, as the remaining drones continue to pose a risk to innocent lives. The post-credits scene shifts focus to a remote desert location in New Mexico, where scientists have discovered a mysterious crater. As they investigate, they come across an object of immense power and significance, Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, embedded in the ground. This scene serves as a direct setup for the introduction of Thor, the Asgardian god of thunder. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.